Yeah. There we go. Thank you. Yeah, I'm totally professional. That was intentional. That was to make sure you guys are paying attention. And you are, so good job. Yeah, you guys passed the test. I just get so excited. I was just too ready. Anyway, that's a great way to start off, right? Just what's up? Okay, yeah, Moose, Grub. Oh my gosh, we got so many people. Truth, Zach, Moose, Goose, Cube, Moose, Goose. I don't know how many mooses or gooses are in the chat, but hello, welcome. Glad you're here. We got a super cool Q&A tonight. We have Gavin himself. Yeah, so I'm glad everyone's here. If you haven't seen, I've recently did a playthrough and a review of Choo-Choo Charles, one of the best indie games I've seen in a minute. Super fun, super cool. And we got the devil in tonight, so we're gonna do a cool Q&A. I have questions for him, and then at the end, we will open up to viewer questions if there's anything that we didn't touch on that you guys have questions or thoughts about. We'll hit that at the end, so be sure to stick around. And of course, I'll read super chats first if you guys throw them in. Greatly appreciate it. And so let's get started. We have Gavin Eisenbeisz. Everybody, say hello.
Good day. Good day to everyone. Hello, chat.
Oh man. Well, hey, really glad to have you on, man. This is super cool.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, I have a ton of just incredibly hard-hitting questions. Okay, this is gonna be super chill.
Nice. I like that.
So how was your New Year's, sir?
It was pretty good. It was pretty relaxed, pretty chill. Didn't do anything too crazy, like at all. But it was good.
Actually, same for me. I just I didn't do nothing.
I mean, that's almost the best way, you know. I mean, I've still been kind of, working on stuff. I haven't taken too much time off from launch. Not too much, a little bit. So
yeah.
Not going too crazy with partying or anything. It's good. It's more my style. So
yeah, I was gonna say in contacting you, you had mentioned that you were dealing with post-launch stuff. So, but before we get into all that, let's just put it out there. What's your game? When did it launch? And how is the launch going?
Yeah, so I am Gavin. I run 2-Star Games, and I made a game called Choo-Choo Charles. It came out on December 9th, just last month. I was going to say earlier this month, but technically that's not true anymore. So it came out last month, and it's done really well. People have been really, really enjoying it. The game has been, it's been making its way around, and yeah, it's done great. It's done better than I had hoped for. So it's been really good. That's
really, really good to hear. So better than you hoped for. So I know you've done a few games before. What are some of those games so people know?
Well, I've done a handful. So the one that I did just before Choo-Choo Charles is a game called My Beautiful Paper Smile. It was sort of like it was a black and white hand-drawn horror game. And I did a couple other like free game jam games over the past few years as well. Stuff like My Friend is a Raven, Cloud Climber, Night and Riveragger. And then I've done a lot of other really bad games that I don't talk about because they all suck. So we'll just go with those. We just keep those under wraps. We don't need to go any deeper than that.
Okay. Didn't Markiplier play one of your other games as well? Was that Paper Smile?
He's done a couple. He's done
Okay.
Paper Smile. He also did No Snake Hotel. That was another one that I did. I did that one
Oh,
for a YouTube video.
I actually watched that, and that
is-
was awesome.
Did you? Yeah. So that was another one that he did as well, and then Choo-Choo Charles. But yeah.
That's pretty cool, man. So, it seems like I don't know what one person might say is like made it, but like you're in the main circulation of like bigger YouTubers playing your games. And how long ago did you start to get to this point now? And do you think it was like quick, or was it organic?
It was one of these things where it took a very long time, and then it all happened at once. It was like one of those scenarios where it's like it takes 10 years to become an overnight success type of thing. I started making games when I was 12. I spent 8 years making games without like basically anyone downloading anything that I ever made.
Man.
And then I started working on My Beautiful Paper Smile. I worked on that for 4 years, and it did like kind of okay. It did sort of all right. It got a little bit of attention. Markiplier played it. Some other YouTubers gave it some attention as well, which was cool. But it taught me a lot about, marketing and production and just the business in general. And so then I was able to do Choo-Choo Charles, and as soon as I announced that, it took off instantly. Like the day that I announced it, the trailer went viral, and then I was like, okay, now I'm kind of on the right track. So It took a while, and then it all just happened at once. There was a lot of preparation, a lot of setting of foundations, I suppose, before I could build anything like too significant. But then it happened, and so now it's good.
That's super cool to hear the success story like that. But again, like also thinking, I mean, you said like 8 years, right? Like
about that, yeah. 8
it's
years.
it's a long time, but I think I also understand in the fact like of when I started YouTube, they're deleted videos. Like their earlier videos are just gone. Like just the learning, you don't even know what you're doing, and you're just finding your way. And actually, something we were just talking about before stream started was marketing a game, and how you came to. Oh, hold on. Did you lose me there?
I can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Sorry, Discord just threw me an error. I wasn't sure what that was.
Oh, gotcha.
And you were talking about marketing and like there being lots of talent out there, but people maybe not necessarily understanding what a marketable game is. So like, how did you come to have the sense, or how did you build a game that you could foresee as marketable?
Yeah, so that's an interesting one, but I like that kind of question. I like talking about this kind of stuff. This is the stuff that I ponder at night. This is what I spend my time thinking about. But so kind of the way that I got to realizing what it takes to make a marketable game is that like, so with My Beautiful Paper Smile, my last game that we briefly touched on, it got a fair amount of attention. It got tens of millions of views around the internet and from massive YouTubers and stuff. But it just didn't sell very well. Like there were times where a YouTuber would play it and it pulled 2 million views in a single day, and the game wouldn't sell a single extra copy. It would just stay at baseline, just nothing extra, off millions of views. And I was like,
yeah,
this just doesn't even make sense. Like I've got the visibility. I've got more visibility than so many of these other games. Why is this not selling? Like logically it should be, right? You get enough people looking at it, at least some should buy it, but none of them did. And so that's when I realized, okay, well maybe some games just don't sell, and maybe there are specific reasons for why some games just don't sell. And so there's a lot of reasons. There's a ton of stuff, but the main one is just and I suppose I guess I'm kind of getting sidetracked a little bit. This is more about like converting marketing into like sales, which I guess is a little bit different. I mean, I suppose what I kind of learned with My Beautiful Paper Smile is that there are things that you can do to make more people interested in like sharing your game around and making videos about your game. You know, it's like I noticed that there are certain parts of My Beautiful Paper Smile that are very commonly used as YouTube thumbnails. Like parts of the jump scares are like, they always make it into the thumbnail of like these big videos on. And so I kind of took note of that. I was like, oh, okay, so maybe if you add certain things to your game that would be really good in thumbnails, that would make the game perform better on YouTube, and it would make more people want to play it on YouTube. You know, and it's like,
that's
okay,
a super
well,
interesting
maybe
concept.
yeah, and like if you structure your game in a certain way, or if you have a certain color palette that lends itself to like, you know, grabbing attention better, then, you know, you can just make something that is inherently more viral and just more marketable. Because, you know, I mean, virality and marketability are basically the same thing. They're basically one and the same thing. Like especially in the game industry, you know, because in the game industry, hits are made from viral games. Like that's it. If your game doesn't go viral, or if your game isn't marketing itself, you're not going to sell many copies. You're not going to be very successful or get much attention, or even be profitable at all. Like it's very difficult to even be profitable as an indie developer. So
That's some super helpful advice, I'm sure, to anyone who might be starting that's listening. But
yeah, I would hope so. I mean, it's a big reason as to, you know, why Choo-Choo Charles has kind of, you know, done what it has.
so I guess that kind of leads me into another question about, so, you know, you have this new mindset about thinking about how to like market the game before building it. Is that how it was with Charles? Like, did you
100%.
think about, before you even started down this path, you were like, what's a marketable idea? Or like, what's an idea people could like latch onto?
Yeah, 100%. It's for me, it started out with an ironic character. I wanted to have an ironic character as kind of a good focal point. You know, something to latch onto, because it's just like anytime, like even if you think of just boring brands, they've got mascots. They've got some kind of a characterized. Oh, my camera resolution just died. All right. They've got a mascot. You know, sports teams, they've got a mascot. They've got some kind of a focal point that you can connect to, something that has you know, human or animal type characteristics. So that's where it started for Choo-Choo Charles. And then from there, it was just like, okay, what kind of gameplay mechanics are like really, really visual? Like you can just look at it and you can immediately understand like how it would feel to play that. You can immediately see like why it's fun. That sort of thing. That was like first thing that I tried to really get set in stone before I did, you know, any concept art, came up with a name for the game, did anything on my computer. It's just making notes, trying to figure out what would just look cool, and be really, really just engaging in any sort of marketing scenario.
That's pretty smart. I mean, like, it's really cool hearing this because as someone who, I've done very, very little amounts of game design, and it was mostly 2D. It was all 2D actually. And I wanted to go farther, but I never once thought first about like the back end, about like the like post-launch stuff. It was always just like, oh, I have this neat idea to me or something.
Right.
But like that might not at all be translated to other people. So it's really cool to see that that's what your experience led you to start thinking with first.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's a solid kind of strategy. I mean, most of the developers, well, I don't know about most, the developers who are consistently successful that I've seen and that I've talked with do same thing. You know, they're thinking about like, okay, what kind of a trailer can I make around this game concept before they've even programmed anything? You know, thinking about their trailer, they're thinking about what's their, you know, one sentence sales pitch, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, it's kind of the, like, if you want to be profitable, it's the way to go.
I was going through your videos and looking at just like earlier days of your game design, of course, and this kind of leads into like what this whole conversation really leads into what Charles was inspired by. And you had mentioned you were inspired by Tom Coben, which
Correct.
everyone can see here.
The epic spider legs.
Yes. So
Thomas,
very much going off that, like you were talking about, this thing we know Thomas. And by the way, like Choo-Choo Charles is, I mean, like you nailed it. There's nothing that looks like him aside from this, like aside from this animation.
Yeah, I mean, this is like familiar, familiar sort of territory. Pretty obviously like similar.
Yeah, but it's just neat that that's where your inspiration came from, and to see how far you took this idea and this game. When, like, I know how many zombie games are out there. Like there's monsters. I can't say in my life I've ever seen a monster like Choo-Choo Charles, aside from the Thomas tank engine,
right.
Memeing and stuff like
mods,
that.
All that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's.
Oh, good.
Sorry, go ahead. No.
I was gonna say, do you think also taking on like, there's a lot of like humor like surrounding your game and the way you portray things. Do you think that also helps with how your game was received by the public, like not taking itself too seriously, kind of a thing?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the whole game it's like
yeah, I mean,
kind of it's sort of a glorified shit post that I just took like sort of seriously, so it definitely, I think, helped in some ways. I mean, if like it'd feel a little bit off if it was like super dark and super gritty, I feel like that just wouldn't quite fit the vibe of being chased by a spider train. Like I feel like it needs to be kind of self-aware, but more than that, I think it adding like random Easter eggs and stuff like that, just random dumb things like the pickle lady and stuff like that. It's just because it just makes development more fun. I had just come off of spending like 3.5-4 years on My Beautiful Paper Smile, and that's a game that was very dark, very gritty, very serious, and I didn't like the design of the game did not lend itself well to like just throwing in a funny Easter egg here or there, or just doing something random for the sake of it. And it made development it just made it a lot more tedious, not having any room to just like bounce around and just do dumb stuff. And so that's something that I kind of realized I enjoyed about game development. So getting to just make a game where I just decided from the start, like, I'm just going to give myself the freedom to just do whatever I want. Like if I want to add a pickle mission, like I can do that, and I just don't care. So yeah, it made it more fun.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, and especially with being a solo dev, right? So like, working on a game like this sounds like it would be a lot less stressful, like easier. Just like, again, the whole lot not taking. I mean, I'm sure there's always a lot of work that goes into it, but being able to kind of let loose in certain areas, and then this being the one that, well, I mean, I don't know your numbers for sure, but is this the game that you would say put you on the map or took off farther than most?
100%.
That's amazing how that worked out. You're just like, you know what, I'm gonna relax. I'm just gonna like make something different and kind of play around. But I was planning to get to your other games before this Q&A. I just ran out of time, so unfortunately I can't like talk as much about them. But there are also now I'm one of those people who will go back through your games now because I'm such a fan of Charles. So I'm like, nice. All right, let's go back and check him out. Check out the other stuff. So I had a question about NPCs, and you brought up the pickle lady. Did you? It seems like she's been like the favorite. Like I mean, there's been
it's between pickle lady and Eugene. The fanfare around Eugene has been is quite a lot. People really like Eugene.
Bro, that broke
more
my
than
heart.
I was expecting.
You
did it?
Just ripped my heart out.
Very sad. Very sad. Rest in peace, Eugene.
I know. Just just a moment of silence. Moment of silence in chat.
Moment of silence.
So I think Eugene is actually a secret personality litmus test. That after he dies, And for those of you who
go
haven't
back
played the
for him,
game,
or do you
yes,
leave?
if you go back for him, you're a good person. And if you just leave, I don't know what to say. I think there's something wrong there.
Yeah, I've seen it both ways in videos. A lot of people go back for him, but every once in a while you see someone who just leaves him, and it's just like a little bit of shame. I lose a little bit of respect for anyone who leaves Eugene.
It was heartbreaking. I was actually watching 8-Bit Ryan's playthrough, and he was just like,
Nice.
He was just like, alright, he's dead, and he just kept going. I'm like, what are you doing? Turn around, like, go back. You just lost your boy, man. Like, oh my gosh.
Sad.
So it was just funny. He's the first person I saw not go back for Eugene, and it wasn't even a thought in my mind to like not go back. So when he did, I was surprised.
That's funny.
But from that moment going forward, I just never looked at 8-Bit Ryan the same. I can't.
Just can't.
I know, Ryan, you
Used
watch
to be
me,
a fan
obviously.
back in the day, but then.
Yeah. But what I think is also cool is the amount of work you put into your game. I can tell there's passion. I can tell there's lots of work that goes in. And so not like, beating down Ryan, but like the fact that he didn't go back, he missed out on that extra dialogue that is there if you do go back. So super neat to see like where I went everywhere in this game, did everything. You had like all bases covered. There was like, oh, what if I do this? What if I go here? Like, you have stuff there for the person to be rewarded with, like with all the extra missions. You don't have to do them, but they were super rewarding and super fun to me, especially the pickle mission. But and maybe also because I did turn that into a little bit of a song. It just inspired me so much.
That was you.
That was me. Yeah.
That's right.
In the moment, I had a little bit more hair. I looked a little bit different. The stash is back now, so. So talking about NPCs, do you have a personal favorite, and do you have a least favorite NPC that you've created?
I think my favorite is Eugene. I like Eugene. The voice acting on him was phenomenal. The voice actor did a great job. He's just a wholesome, lighthearted, jolly character. So I like him. And my least, like, I guess when I say favorite and least favorite, it's like the characters that I would most and least want to encounter in real life if they were real. That's how I'm interpreting this. Least favorite would be Ronnie.
I was about to say.
I hate Ronnie. Ronnie's a Reddit mod.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
Not a huge fan of him.
Oh my
But I do
God.
still think he's a funny character to have in the game.
Oh, I'm so glad you made him. Like the humor's everywhere. Like, he's just like making fun of you. He's degrading you. But then he's also like, I'm so glad I found those papers. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? I just went up there and broke my leg. Like, oh my God.
That's Ronnie for you, Yeah, my brother helped me write a lot of his monologue. It turned out great. It's good stuff. Good stuff. It was fun to write. That's for sure.
So yeah, like you just mentioned, your brother helped write some things. So we know there's voice actors that you brought in. Is there before we get to them, are there any other people that did work on this game with you?
Yeah. So there were a handful of folks, just like freelancers and stuff that I brought in. I had Tom Bellingham, who did the Charles specific music. He didn't do all the music. I downloaded just like a bunch of stock music for a lot of the ambient tracks, but like the chase music and the boss music, that was by Tom Bell. He did awesome job. I love the tracks he came out with. I brought on I had a team do translations for the game. I also did, let's see, I had a bunch of beta testers. I used this site called it was like gametester.com, and that was pretty decent, just to get like a handful of people to just play through, fill out a survey, and just find bugs and other issues with the game, design inconsistencies and stuff like that. So, a couple hundred beta testers on there. And then who else was there? Had a guy do a little bit of concept art for the final battle, and I had another friend who helped me with kind of like the lore writing. He's not in the credits. He didn't want to be credited. He just wanted to kind of help out in the background.
Oh wow, okay.
But he did some really great work, kind of helping me structure the story and just the lore and world building so that it made just more sense. It was just more interesting to kind of uncover. Other than that, I think that's all I can think of off the top of my head. And then just, some help from my family with like editing the script and writing out some of the monologue and that kind of stuff.
Oh, that's so cool. It's pretty cool to hear your family's involved too.
Yeah, it was good. It was good.
So I think it is really awesome, the lore that you have in this game. Again, like something I had mentioned, like talked about in my review, is that the game is so simple, and it really seemed like it allowed you to build out other parts of the world and things in like a really fleshed out way. So while I mentioned like in my review, so it's like while we're being chased by a giant like spider train, like I'm having fun. The game it like knows what the game is, so I can see like the game's not taking itself too seriously, and it opens the door for me to be more vulnerable to like be like, what is this story like, and learn what the story is, and not be questioning how is this spider train possible, but be like, what's going to happen, like what's going on with this island, like so the way you structured this game for me at least was in such a way that clearly IGN did not agree with.
No, they were not too big of fans, but
you win them over someday. No.
I mean,
you don't even need
I don't
it.
know. I'm not making games for critics.
No.
I don't really care about it. You got to change what you're doing if you want critics to be happy, and that's
maybe if you added a few more microtransactions and season passes.
I forgot to pay them. So if I'd sent them a check, I mean,
right,
might have gone up a couple points.
Of course.
I'm kidding. I'm sure journalists are never paid off for anything. That never happens.
Oh, never. Absolutely not.
No.
Now, do you know who Dick Tracy is? I might be aging myself here, so I'm an old man. I'm gonna pull up these pictures, and you kind of just answered it, but if you said I don't think so, I immediately when I saw Warren, I thought of Dick Tracy.
I can see some resemblance. A lot of people see Warren and go, Walter White?
Okay, yeah, I can
heard
see
a lot of Walter White comparisons as well. Walter Yellow.
Okay.
But, no, that was not necessarily an inspiration there.
Okay, because as soon as I saw like the decked out yellow, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna ask him. I wonder if he used to watch Dick Tracy. It was just some random inspiration, because you never know.
Originally Warren, he was just gonna be in just an all black suit, but I was like, that's just really boring. And just make it yellow. Then he's just a little bit more iconic. It looks better in a thumbnail,
There you go. Once again,
stands out a little more. So
wow, yeah. That's and I'm glad you did, because it was unexpected, but it was just like, all right, this guy's pimped out in a yellow suit. Like,
that works.
Okay, like
he's got that drip. He does.
Yeah, like it made it interesting. Like you said, like I don't know, just I love this game, bro. I really do. I had a lot of fun playing it.
I appreciate that.
So this game went through changes though. Went through quite a few. So in the beginning, there's certain areas in the map that looked like it had a lot more sand.
Yep.
And it looked like they were like just bigger beaches. You used to only have one lever in the train on the inside. You used to also have the map on the wall. That's not there anymore, right? I don't remember seeing
Correct.
that.
Yeah,
and
map isn't on the wall anymore.
Yeah, and then it looked like you had these bouncing lanterns inside the train as well.
Correct.
And now it's just a single light. And you also have these very, very different characters. But before we get to that, and the characters, so this game went through a lot of changes. What would you say were the reason for some of them are that you should?
Yeah, we can go through some of these. These are cool because I haven't like specifically addressed many of them. So the sand areas originally, because I started out making the game off of one just big island asset, and so in order to make the game more feasible, like basically the map was too big for the amount of content that I figured I'd have time to add, so I had to cut off some areas of the island. So those two like large beach sand dune areas, I cut those back, so those just weren't, I just cut them off from the game just so there was less empty space. I decided I'd rather just have, just less space in general that's more detailed than more space that's less detailed. So just kind of making everything a little bit more potent, less diluted, I guess. So that was the island scale thing. What were some of the other ones you mentioned there?
Oh, so so you only had one lever to start.
One lever, yeah. So the lever one originally, and I really liked this design. So originally, I just had one lever. You were still able to go forward, backwards, and activate your brakes. But the way you would do it is you'd click and hold on the lever, and then you drag your mouse up to like flick the lever up, or you'd like pull it down. So you'd actually like pull the lever into 3 different positions.
Okay.
But
and you use the dragging feature.
Yeah. And I thought it was really cool. It was like pretty intuitive. It worked really well. And it took a long time to add, so I wanted to keep it in. But as I had more and more people testing it, they were like, I don't like it. It's unintuitive. It's difficult to get right. And it was especially difficult when trying to like do it on a gamepad, trying to like drag the lever into the right position. So I ended up just going for the 3 lever approach. It just made more sense, more intuitive, easier to use. So that was why that change happened. That was about, I want to say, halfway through development. So that was that one.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it was kind of a shame, but
yeah, they say kill your darlings, right?
It has to happen. Yeah, for sure. So the map inside. So this is an interesting one. Getting back to the marketability and readability stuff. So I pretty much knew that there wasn't going to be a map inside the train in the actual game.
Oh, okay.
Because I knew that, because in Choo-Choo Charles, you can open the map from anywhere on the Earth. You just hit M and it opens up your map. It's not a train specific mechanic. And I knew from the start that I didn't want it to be a train specific mechanic. But in the announcement trailer, I wanted it to be really obvious that the player was opening up a map and that the game was open world. So I put the map in the train just for the trailer in order to make that clearer and just more readable.
Okay.
So that's what that was.
Wow. That's so neat hearing behind the scenes of your decisions for these things.
Yeah, some of this stuff, it's more precise than people would think on the surface, So I think it's interesting. The lanterns, originally I did want to have these like hanging like physics lanterns. I thought that would be really cool, and I had that for a little while here, but there were just random bugs with the physics on them.
Okay.
And they just didn't really work all the time. Sometimes they just like randomly fall out of the train. It's just weird stuff. And then later on, so first I switched them from physics to non-physics, and then I still was having issues with like optimization then, because I just had too many lights in the scene and stuff. So I just consolidated it down to just one single light in the train just for optimization. So that was why there's no lanterns on the train anymore.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't remember if there were any other ones.
Probably the biggest
NPCs.
Was the NPCs.
Yeah. So originally, right, I was just gonna do these 2D hand-drawn NPCs because I figured, it's simple. It's kind of similar to the style that I've done in my other games.
Yeah.
And I just felt like that kind of fit the vibe of the game a bit better. I just felt like that it was more, it just fit the atmosphere better, is what I felt like. I couldn't really imagine 3D characters running around in this game. It just didn't quite feel right based on the original concept. But after I put out the announcement trailer, it people didn't like them, or at least a lot of people didn't like them, or so it seemed. Maybe it was, you know, vocal minority type of thing. But a lot of people were just like, oh, I hate the NPCs. They look so weird. They look so out of place. They should be 3D. And so I was like, okay. And I caved and I made them 3D.
Okay.
I kind of had to also because I decided later on that I wanted to add the cultists, the humanoid enemies. And you can't really have a 2D like cultist enemy like running around.
Yeah, I'm just now thinking about that.
It just doesn't quite work. So I kind of had to make them 3D for that purpose. So it was a couple reasons behind that. But,
it's pretty funny that I didn't even think about that until you just said that, because it would be like, oh, what would you do like
with the cultists?
Yeah, like how you running away from like these 2D Mickey Mouse characters? You know, like it'd be very interesting.
Right, a little bit out of place.
There'd be a lot more questions I would have.
It's like you kind of just gotta figure out like what's gonna feel slightly less out of place, you know?
Yeah.
It's like sometimes you can't get it all right, you know. There's not a perfect solution in most scenarios. So
did you know you wanted to have those cultists from the start?
No.
Okay.
No. Originally I just wanted to keep it really simple and just stick with Charles, and that would have been the smartest thing to do. I regret adding the cultists. They were a pain in the ass, and I
like the AI.
And they're still, and that's still like the biggest thing that people hate about the game is the AI and stealth. I spent so much time, probably 3 months out of the like 15-month development period was just on the cultists, and they still suck. So it's was not a good move, but by the time that I realized that they were horrible, they were too ingrained in just the story and the world and everything.
Yeah, so I wouldn't say horrible. I'm a little biased, but I'm also not working for IGN. But I'm glad they're in there. But it is interesting to hear you talk about it now. Like, so do you think the game would have went a totally different direction if you didn't put them in? Because they're a pretty big part, like as far as how you get the eggs and how you get like even weapons.
I guess the game probably. Cause I mean, it's. I'm not entirely sure how it would have changed the game. It definitely would have changed it a little bit. There wouldn't be like stealth segments at all. It'd probably be a little bit more puzzling instead of stealth type stuff.
Oh, okay.
So, and I mean, ultimately, like the cultists aren't even really in that many areas of the game. I think there's they're in each of the 3 mines, and then there's a weapon outpost, and there's the temple. So there's like 5 areas in the game with cultists.
Mm-hmm.
So ultimately, I probably wouldn't change things that much. I probably just would have substituted those areas with a challenge through just some kind of small puzzles or slightly larger puzzles. Something along those lines.
I remember you saying that your original idea that you had quickly changed off of was to provide Charles with human sacrifices. So my other side question with like what drove you away from that would be, was there a plan to have like a dialogue system with NPCs in order to like get followers to like follow you? So like did you start down that path at all, or was that quickly?
No.
Okay.
No. So that was just in the very early concepting when I was like, basically at that point I had come up with the idea that like, oh, okay, a spider train, it's an ironic, familiar, marketable sort of character. And then from there, I was trying to figure out what kind of gameplay would support that best, would be, easy enough to make, but also would look fun and all that. And so that was just a really early concept that I had, and pretty quick I realized that it doesn't look fun. Talking to NPCs is not an engaging gameplay loop. You know, it's kind of boring. We've all done that a million times in every single game ever. So it's not really much of a selling point.
Yeah,
so
I guess it would be a
scrapped that pretty quick.
story-heavy game if you were going to go that route.
Yeah, and I kind of realized, like, you know, story games and linear story games, they're just they just don't do that well. They're way harder to market and to sell, just because most people don't care about them. People watch videos about them, but they don't play them. So
that's smart. Would you actually yeah, so we're covering like changes now. So what would you say, looking back, is like the biggest change that took place? Oh, actually, like, I even noticed, was it Candace you originally had at the towers? When I first saw her, she was at the towers where Ronnie is. So are there characters that you got rid of that don't exist? Are there like name changes that took place? Like, are there anything like we don't know that you think might be interesting? And if not, just what's the biggest change you think the game went through?
Biggest change. There really haven't been any major changes to the game. Like, once I started programming stuff, everything stayed very actually, no, I do know what the biggest change was. The biggest change was about maybe 9 months into development. I had basically gotten to the point where I thought that I had finished the game. I thought I had, like, basically my first alpha build, my first draft version of the game. I had, I don't know, maybe like 15 missions in the game. I had the 3 egg missions, but there were a lot of things in that version of the game that did not exist now. And so I started testing it out with some friends, and I guess I should back up a little bit and explain kind of what that version of the game was like. And it actually, I believe Horoscoped is going to be doing a video where he has a version of the game that's more along those lines, an earlier version that he's going to go through and kind of make a video on. But originally, the game was going to be much more gameplay based. There was going to be way less focus on story. Eugene originally did not exist. Warren did not exist. The temple did not exist. Hell Charles did not exist. The bridge, that whole mission with Paul, did not exist. None of that existed in the original plan until about half, maybe 2/3 of the way through development. So basically, originally how it worked is you were going to, you'd be talking with a guy in a bar. Like, the opening cutscene was different as well. You're talking with a dude in a bar, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I used to work as a miner, and there was this crazy monster on the island. I'll sell you my train that I had on the island if you want, because I need money or whatever." And so you buy the guy's train. He gets you on a boat to go out to this island because you're just, I don't know, a thrill seeker or something along those lines. I didn't think about it too much, right? I didn't really care because I wanted it to be much more gameplay centric. So then you just wake up in a little campground, which is actually the campground that you see shortly after the tutorial station in the game.
Okay, yeah, the one to the right.
So there's a little campsite, just like a little way down the rail after Eugene dies. And that was originally the starting point of the game. So you just wake up in that camp, and your train would have already been right there. It's right next to the campground, and you just wake up. It'd show you some tooltips on like how to use the train, walk into the train, and then you just start the game. That was it. That was the start of the game, and then you'd start on your journey, basically exactly with pretty much everything the same, excluding, you know, like the previous tutorial with Eugene and stuff that wasn't there, and you just go off into the world, start doing missions, and start learning about the game. So that was the first thing. That's how it started, I should say. And so when I had people testing it, they were like, "This doesn't really make sense. I don't really know what I'm supposed to do. I don't have much sense of direction." It just, the story felt disjointed and non-existent because it basically wasn't in existence. It felt like a weird mix between a story-based game and a more gameplay focused game, and it's like it kind of felt like it didn't know what it wanted to be. So I decided, you know what, I'm gonna push back the release date, because originally I was wanting to release, I think, in like August, and I was like, I'm gonna take the time to make a new tutorial, to make a new boss fight, to add a couple extra missions to help drive the story, as well as rewrite all the character monologue, rewrite the lore, and so I spent a couple months, I think 3 months, going through all of that, and that's when kind of the version of Choo-Choo Charles that you guys see now kind of came into being. So that was the biggest change.
Okay.
Kind of taking the game from this sort of like gray area of like, is it story based? Is it gameplay based? And like balancing those two things more accurately and more precisely, and just striking a better balance of the two.
That's awesome. And that's also something I do want to highlight about something I do love about indie games is that unless you set one on yourself, there really is no time crunch. So unlike certain companies that, flush a game out the toilet, it's not ready. That's how I think about it, because they're terrible or missing so much stuff. I'm glad you delayed it. And that was also going to be a question of mine is, was it delayed and how many times? And you just answered it. And that's really cool that you were aware of the game possibly not feeling finished and feeling like cohesive enough and doing that, because it really does when you play it. It's very cool.
That's good. I'm glad I feel like it did work out.
Yeah, like from the point,
I'm happy with the version now.
Yeah, like from the point you go from the dock to the leaving, the altercation with Eugene dying, it's just like seamless. It's easy. The tutorial is like makes a lot of sense, and you're already like playing the game, and then you just hit the ground running, and I love it. It's like you didn't waste anyone's time. You told me everything I need to know, and then you just let me go do my thing. And it was great. It was awesome. I love how it started. I also was reminded of, I don't know if you played BioShock, but I was very much so reminded. Just the scene where you're with Eugene and rowing to the docks. It's very reminiscent of BioShock, one of the BioShock games. I have a ton more questions I'm looking at here. So yeah, okay, yeah, no, not inspired by Dick Tracy. We can get that question off the table. Oh yes, okay. I know a little bit about this, but the Voodoo Man on the train. He's this little guy. If anyone hasn't seen it, he's like this little dude on your dashboard. What's this guy about? Who is he?
What's that guy about? So, little Tiki Man. A lot of people don't even know.
Yeah, Tiki Man.
He's pretty. He's stealthy. He's stealthy. He's hidden.
Yeah, he's right here. This little guy.
Yeah, he's still in the game now. So originally, in Choo-Choo Charles, the collectible, because I knew that I wanted to have a little bit of achievement hunting type stuff and some collectibles available. I wanted to do bobbleheads, like the kind of little bobblehead that you put on like your car dashboard. I wanted those to be
a little tiki girl
that you could find. yeah, like that exact same kind of thing. I was like, hey, that'd be funny. And so there'd be just like 10 different unique little bobbleheads, and I was thinking there'd maybe be like the foam dice, that you'd find, along with some other ones. And so the Tiki Man, this guy, he was the first bobblehead that I made. There was one point early on in development, I was like, you know what? I might as well just model this because it sounds kind of fun. It seems like an interesting thing to do tonight. And so I did, and I put it in the game and kind of forgot about it. Just kept on working on the rest of development. And then later on, as I was doing the devlogs and stuff, I kept on seeing people who were requesting me to make the train color customizable. And that wasn't one of the plans originally, but I got it was so heavily requested, and I figured, like that would be pretty cool, and it wouldn't be that difficult to add either. So I decided, what would be kind of neat is if I changed the collectible type to paint cans instead of bobbleheads, and just made it so when you collect a paint can, you can change your train color to that. And so that was what I changed the collectible type to. And then I just didn't end up making any more of the bobblehead. So then I just kept the Tiki Man in there just because why not? So
Okay.
that is the story of Tiki Man.
Yeah, that's a cool little backstory, and I'm glad he still exists in the Choo-Choo Charles universe.
He is a phenomenal little character. Actually, no, that's my favorite NPC. It's pretty unique.
Nice. I like it. Let's see. Oh my goodness. Okay, yeah. I'm sure you got a million people with this, but Santiago's journal. I haven't gone back because I just haven't gone back and started the game over. Can you read it? Is there anything on it?
No, you can't.
Oh, okay.
You can't.
Bro,
if the game would get banned if you could read what's in Santiago's journal.
All right, you heard it here, Chad.
We can't.
Too much.
We don't talk about Santiago's journal.
There are some secrets we don't uncover.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah, so you did feature, I think I saw on a live stream of yours possibly, you featured a certain staircase that's out in the woods, and it's from a creepypasta, I believe you said.
Correct.
It's really interesting.
So there's in one area, just kind of off in the woods, I had been listening to like spooky stories, like I don't know, Reddit text to speech spooky stories on YouTube as I was working, and there was this one that I got kind of into where it's the creepypasta is that like supposedly there are these just random staircases all throughout the national forests around the world, deep in the woods. Some of them are made of concrete, some of them are just like a normal like staircase that you'd find in an old house, and they're like magical. If you walk on them, you like get transported to different dimensions. Ooh, spooky stuff, right? And I just thought it was cool. I thought it was kind of funny, and I had stair props in the game, so I was like, yeah, I'll just throw a staircase out here. Random little reference, and that's all that was. Just a random 5-minute inspiration to do something.
Nice.
Because why not?
Yeah.
Because I can.
Yeah. What were the first and last missions you added to this game?
First mission was Tony Tittle's barn. That was the first mission that I added. And the last mission that I added was the boss fight, if you count that as a mission. Technically, it's a mission because it's marked on the map as a mission.
Okay.
If you were to count
pre-boss
like the
fight,
last, pre-boss fight mission, the last one would have been the Paul Bridge.
Okay.
Rigging the bridge with explosives.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, because I think it's also interesting, like you as the developer, there are certain parts of the world that are much older because you like made them.
Mm-hmm.
So like Tittle's barn and that whole area of the map is probably like so old in your memory, and when you got closer to finishing the game,
some of it, yeah, it's like because some parts, you know, like I mean, because like all the age of like when different missions were added, it's all like intermingled, you know, so there aren't like specific large scale areas that were, you know, it was all in kind of a weird order, but yeah.
Oh yeah, so this I thought was really interesting. You said you used Blueprint for in Unreal 5, right?
Unreal 4.
Unreal 4.
But I did use Blueprint, yeah.
So with that, what is your process from start to finish making a game? What are all the software rungs you go through?
How
does Gavin make a game?
Well, that's a question that takes about 1 year to answer. But
okay. What are your top 3 software programs that you use?
Top 3 software. Yeah. So the software I use, well, that's a simpler one.
Okay.
So Unreal Engine 4, that's kind of the main powerhouse. That's the main thing that makes things happen. That's where I program stuff. That's where I build all the levels. That's where I mix all the sounds in and make the game. It's the game engine thing that makes it run. And then, when I have to do custom 3D models, stuff like Charles or the player train or the guns, all that kind of stuff, I do that in Blender. I still use an older version of Blender. I'm in Blender 2.79, I believe. Good stuff. Good program. I like that one. I hand draw all the textures on a like a digital sketch pad, I guess you'd call it. And I use GIMP as the software for that. It's basically just a free Photoshop. I use a lot of free software, a lot of the same free software that I used when I was not making any money off of game development. So I'm used to all the alternative stuff. And then I also use Audacity, another free program for recording and editing random audio clips and stuff. Like when I did the voice acting for Charles, which, fun fact, I voiced Charles, all the little train grunts and stuff. So I did those in Audacity.
It's awesome.
I feel like a real voice actor now. Basically,
yeah, you can officially check that off.
Yep. I gotta get someone get me an IMDb page.
Oh, absolutely.
Feeling famous out here.
Did you also voice the cultists?
Yes.
Okay.
I did. Yes, I did Charles and the Cultists, and that was it. All the other ones are by actual voice actors who are actually good at what they do.
Well, yeah, I'll let you finish up your, then I'll get to the voice actors. But good.
Yeah, but that's that. I think that's it for the software, pretty much. Maybe a couple other random things here and there, but that's kind of that's the main stuff. Oh, and Fuse. I use Fuse and Mixamo for the NPC characters and animations.
Oh, so it's an animation software.
Sort of. Well, they've got a character creation software, and then they've got a animation library of just animations that you can apply to your characters.
Okay. Just
a bunch of pre-made stuff that you see in basically every indie game ever. Some of them, some folks might recognize, but yeah. But that's it for software.
I did want to say I felt like the voice acting in this game was awesome. I loved it.
It was great. All the actors and actresses, they did phenomenal jobs. I couldn't be happier. They all did great. All phenomenal to work with. They were great.
So how did you go about finding them, and then how did you do the recordings? I'm assuming they sent you recordings, but
yeah. So the way that I did that was I used a site called voices.com, and it's a site where basically you can just post a job for freelance.
So it's like Fiverr for voice actors.
Yeah. It's like Fiverr for voice actors. And there's a ton of super talented people over there. So I just posted a job for each one of the NPCs. And people would audition with a couple sentences off the script. I'd pick folks who auditioned, and then they would just record their lines, send them in. I'd pay them. I'd put them in the game, and it was all
easy
good.
peasy.
So it was pretty simple, pretty seamless process.
Yeah,
and
I think
it was great working with them.
Yeah, I think they did a great job, yourself included. And that was actually really cool when I found out that it was you yelling at me with a shotgun for most of the
game. You're welcome. Yeah, you're welcome.
I was like, oh, okay, so it was Gavin himself that was terrifying me when I didn't know I was spotted. It's pretty cool because they even sound like, and I'm curious, did you actually record yourself yelling behind something, or was that post-processing? Because it sounded like they were yelling from behind a mask.
Did it? Well, that was not intentional.
Okay.
If it was, no, I just set up a little sound booth thing.
Oh, okay.
Out of a bunch of blankets and pillows and stuff.
Okay.
Recorded, and then pretty much just took the raw recordings. I don't know anything about audio at all.
Okay, yeah, I could see how that would be oh no, it was not to slight your recording at all. To me it sounded good, and it was probably just the deadening around your mic compared to other mics. But because I was like, yo, he went so far with this game. Like all these little details.
I mean, hey, if it sounds good, I'll take it.
Yeah, I thought it sounded great. Oh yeah, you used to have a cursor, a crosshair for the guns.
Yes.
What made you get rid of that?
That was, I feel like there was a good reason for it. I think at some point there was something technical that like kind of required me to remove it. And I think it was that injunction with I just felt like it was a little bit cluttered. It didn't quite look right. So I just wanted a little bit more of a clean cinematic sort of look. So I just figured, I'll just take out the crosshair. Charles is a pretty big target. It's not really necessary. And since it just wasn't, I didn't feel like it was adding much to the game. I was like, I might as well just take it out.
Yeah, bro, I gotta see those COD hit markers. I gotta
get the Fortnite little like hit point thing. Bro, so many people requested that.
Oh, really?
I don't know. Yeah, like hit marker Fortnite style stuff. It's like,
I thought it was a neat choice. It was just like throwing you into the game. Like, you don't really need this. Like you said, he's a big target, and it was just cool. It was like one less thing to like take me out of the feeling that I'm actually like firing this weapon at this giant monster. So
yeah,
that was pretty neat. With you saying that, what is like the weirdest? Okay, maybe not the weirdest, but what's the weirdest request to have put in your game that you've gotten from your community? Aside from the future romance options that we...
Right, that was the one that just came to mind. I was like, okay, how do I want to talk about this?
Yeah, and we're not going to talk about that. You confirmed them with me before I went live, chat. But no. So you can answer that.
As far as other requests, I mean, lots of requests for multiplayer. A lot of people don't quite... It's very difficult to explain that when you make a game for single player, it's only for single player. Like you can't just there's no multiplayer button. There's not even like, oh well, it's a couple weeks of work. You just got to redo a few, and like no. It's a full starting from scratch because it's the entire design itself is. I mean, I could rant for a half an hour explaining how much needs to be done to convert. I mean, you can't even, it's not like you can really convert a single player game to multiplayer because they're just completely different. That's probably the biggest one. It's not necessarily a weird request. It's like I understand why it's a request. It's just unfeasible. It's just not possible.
Pickle jar plushie when?
You know, I joked at one point about just buying jars of pickles, taking off the labels, and just reselling them.
Just slapping on
merch.
2-star logo.
Yeah. Sign them, you know, on the top of the
2-star pickles.
2-star pickles.
I mean, they say have multiple streams of income, but you know.
Yeah, I don't think I'm quite ready to get into the pickle industry.
Yeah.
It seems a little bit foreign to me personally, but
that's later in life.
Maybe someday, later on. Yeah.
So Charles is a spider. Okay, that was such a obvious statement. Leading up to my question, did you ever consider webs for him, like using webs at all?
It's something that originally I just didn't even think of it. Like it didn't even come to mind to have any sort of like web attacks or anything. I just didn't think of it. And then people were suggesting it and I was like, I still didn't really want to because it's complicated. It gets complicated from a programming standpoint. Just having like the simple melee attack that he does in game is like fairly straightforward. It's straightforward enough that it's not difficult, but adding, I mean, I'm assuming you're kind of talking about like extra attacks and stuff like that.
Yeah, I guess. Or just, if you had any thoughts, maybe movement wise or I had thought up an idea, like it'd be neat if you like just laid them across trees and they slowed your train down. I was like, oh, that might be neat, but I was curious if you had like any extra thoughts.
That, like, it's one of those things that like it'd be cool. It would be thematically accurate. It would make sense. There's nothing wrong with the concept. It's just, extra
the complexity
to have to put in, extra, 2.5 weeks of, development and bug fixing and all that kind of stuff. So it's just one of those things that I never gave too much consideration, just due to keeping everything, as scoped down and realistic from an execution standpoint as possible.
Another question I had here was, what made you show what the missions are on the map to the player before reaching them? So you can like see it's a weapon mission, you can see like, it's a optional. So what made you make that choice, as opposed to just discovering?
Some people don't care about optional stuff. Some people like they have a specific order that they want to go through things in. Some people they want to get all the weapons first. Some people want to just do the main missions first and then save the optional ones for later. And so just giving people that information, it's like it helps give people a better sense of direction, because as soon as you don't have a sense of direction, as soon as you don't know what you want to do or where you want to go, a game becomes boring, or anything becomes boring. So just making sure that people always have information about what's around them, where they can go, what they can do, and so they can just make good decisions or have stuff to make decisions based off of.
Yeah, that's pretty smart. It seems like a lot of like what I've heard or learned from you tonight is about how things are approachable or easy for a consumer to understand.
I mean, just I hate complicated games myself. Like I hate hopping into a AAA game for like 2 hours and then putting it down for a week and then coming back and having to spend half an hour relearning controls and trying to figure out all that stuff. So I like simple games, and consequently it's easier to make simple games, stuff that's just simple, straightforward, intuitive. I like that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Are there any versions of Charles that you can show us that like you've never showed anyone, or
there aren't any?
Okay, so everything is pretty much.
Yeah, basically I just came up with a design, made it, and that's just what I stuck with. The only small thing is that originally I used a different skin for his legs. The model was the same, but originally his legs were like they had red glowing spots on them, something like that, which you can see in like I think some of the earlier devlogs, or maybe even in, I don't know if that skin made it into the announcement trailer or not. I don't think it did, but the skin on his legs changed a little bit. But that's the only thing. Other than that, he's been the same throughout all of development.
So you mentioned in one of your videos, it was, I believe, the Most Cursed update. And you're making the Most Cursed game update. I think it was that video. I think you said you mentioned you based Charles' face off Pennywise, which is awesome.
Partially, yeah.
The clown. If anyone doesn't know, the movie It, Pennywise is the clown from It, and he is just such a bundle of joy. I think
very nice clown.
Yeah. And it looks like the old faces became the masks of the cultists. Is that true?
Correct. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, because it's like I already kind of had some general designs. I figured I might as well put them to use. It saves me a couple hours of design time. So
I actually found the room where they're just like on the wall. So it just seemed like it was a cool little shrine to display them, if that was the case. It felt like
not necessarily. I mean, it's just sort of an environmental thing. It's just like, oh, this is where they hang their masks, because why not?
Yeah, it was pretty perfect. It was also very tempting. It was very wrong of you to put those guns there and not to let us pick them up.
I considered just deleting all the guns that are laying around because a couple of the handful of the testers early on, they were like, it really pisses me off that I can't pick these guns up.
I'm so glad you left them in.
So I just make people rage for no reason. Why not?
Yeah. You're probably gonna say this is for simplicity's sake, but what made you decide like not to have kill zones? I know you can't really go in any water, and there's even certain like cliffs you can't walk off of either. So I tried to jump off cliffs in this game. I tried to go everywhere.
Yeah, so for the most part, it's just simplicity. It's like it doesn't really make sense to, add the ability like to model an entire like ocean, like underwater ocean environment just for people to like swim out.
I want to swim out to the duck. I want to go see the duck, Gavin.
You just get some no clip mods or something, So yeah, it's just a simplicity thing. It's just like, it would take an extra 2 weeks to give people the ability to drown when you could just take like 3 hours, make an invisible wall, and it's like it does the same thing essentially. So yeah, just that kind of stuff, cutting corners, on things that like aren't really important,
Yeah, that makes sense. I figured it was pretty much for simplicity's sake. So I had asked people to comment some questions, and here's one by Frozone. It might be more of a suggestion. He talked about having Charles, let's see. Like making like chuffing noises, and like with the smoke coming out. Come to think of it, I know he like cries. I know he does that when he's off in the distance. But the thought of like, and you can answer these however you want. These are either questions or suggestions from my viewers.
Okay.
But yeah, they thought it would be cool to add like chuffing noises. So I guess I could rephrase this to say like, why aren't there chuffing noises? Or maybe like laying like spider traps, or even jumping, because some spiders jump. So I'm sure that would be a huge undertaking to make Charles jump. But
adding jumping specifically, that would just be a huge pain. That just wouldn't really work with the way that I've got the animation set up. As for like his sound design stuff, it's just not something that I really thought of much. He's got the whistle sound that he plays, and I just figured that would be enough, and I'm pretty happy with it as well.
Yeah, I think it sounds good.
Yeah. So it's it does what it's supposed to. It's a spooky noise. It notifies the player that Charles is getting nearby. It's a good transition into this extra spooky music and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's a bone-chilling transition. And I think you worked.
I think it's a pretty good one.
Yeah, you worked all of them like seamlessly together. It like one plays right off the next, and he gets ready to charge at you. The music transitions. It's great. You created a lot of tension. At least for me playing it. I couldn't wait for the music to like go away, because then I know I'd be safe. I was like, okay, just let it die down. I'll be okay. Like a few more seconds.
As for I think there was also something in there about cobwebs. Kind of talked about that earlier though. Yeah, just simplicity. As soon as you add, it's like you might start out with one attack or two attacks, but as soon as you add three, you're doubling or tripling the complexity when it comes to implementation. It's like it gets exponentially more complicated the more features you add.
Yeah, I'm sure with like behavior trees going wild, right?
That stuff's it gets pretty ridiculous.
I had another comment from Dawfid, and they actually brought up something interesting about having cultists like kind of patrol, or like the area, or go out to like the route, like the tracks where your train might have been, once you take an egg. I thought that was neat. I thought it was a neat idea.
Again, it would be cool. There's nothing wrong with the idea. It's thematically accurate. It would make it feel more the world more alive a little bit, make them feel a little bit more intelligent without making them more difficult. It's just, it'd take an extra 2 weeks to add.
Yeah, I'm sure as a developer, there's many times where like you just have to like stop. You can always keep
half
adding.
of the time is figuring out how to save time.
That's the quote of the night for game development advice.
Yeah, game dev tips with me. There you go.
There's just one other comment from Unreal Khalil, and I thought it was actually really cool. It was a cool question. My question, as a dev of a horror game, can you still get scared and enjoy the mood of your own game? And how is it with other horror games?
I think you can get scared a few times. You can get scared a few times. Like if you've got a game with random jump scares that just randomly pop up out of nowhere. The jump scares, like maybe they'll get you a few times. You're not really going to feel much in the way of fear and tension though, especially in like a linear game. The more linear, the less scary it's going to be for you as the developer. In Choo-Choo Charles, I mean, not so much anymore because I've played it like 1,000 times. But earlier on, maybe a couple months before launch, I'd still feel the tension a bit. Not quite knowing where Charles is, not knowing how close he is and all that kind of stuff. Or like randomly going around a corner and getting shot in the face by myself. Sometimes that there were a lot of times throughout development where I would surprise myself for those cultists. It was getting really annoying for a while. Yes, it's like, yes, you kind of can get scared by your own game, but not in the same way that you would from like someone else's game. So, yeah. Early on, you can a little bit, but not for too long.
Yeah. I always heard it was good to be afraid of horror or have things that do scare you, because then you will know how to make something that scares other people. So I always thought that was interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
Like the kind of people who do get scared should make scary things. Which I wanted to make horror games, and I do get scared, and that would always put me off with the idea of making horror games, because I'd be like, I don't know if I'd want to do. I mean, like you said, right. you get used to it and stuff as you're working on it, but
yeah, especially as like you kind of learn like the science behind it. It's like once you understand the magic trick, it's like it kind of loses its flair a little bit. So I don't know. It's one of those things where it's not something you'd have to be worried about. You're not going to give yourself nightmares off your own game. I have never had a dream about Charles ever at any point, despite that being like the only thing that I've thought about for the past year and a half. So
yeah, that would be rather interesting. Have such a dream.
It would be. I love every time I see a comment or something from someone who's like, "Oh, I had a nightmare that Charles killed me." I'm like, "Hey, that's great. I want to give as many kids nightmares as possible. Wahaha! I am evil."
That's awesome. Yeah, it's got to feel good to have such an impact come from your game, for sure, in its multitude of ways.
So. Yeah, for sure. It's been great to see.
Oh yeah, there was one question I did not want to forget. Oh my gosh. Okay. You have these doors in the game that you can't open. What is behind them?
Nothing.
Gavin, what are these behind
Simplicity.
them?
Those I put in doors that you couldn't open on the days when I was like, yeah, I don't really want to make a house interior right now. I'll just put a locked door. And then on the days where I was feeling more motivated, I was like, yeah, I want to make an interior here. And I'd make an unlockable door.
Okay.
Or an unlocked door.
Okay.
So
yeah. That's kind of cool to know that like all the closed doors are potential free time interiors that could have been.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, I mean, maybe that's what I need to do in like future updates. Add all the house interiors.
That would be pretty neat.
Maybe that would be a good move. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe secretly open a few. Let people find it. Have you seen anyone like do any no clip videos? Try to like fly around your map at all? See if there's any hidden things or.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
People. I mean, I think day one, people were putting out videos of the secrets that they were finding behind locked doors. There's one locked door specifically that has something specific behind it.
Okay. Yes.
You might know about.
I do know which one it is.
That one, people found that like instantly.
Yeah. That it was a really cool spot for it too.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Oh yes, for those of you guys who don't know, Gavin has I don't know if it's around anymore, but he did have a plushie for Charles. Is that still available?
It's still available.
It's still available.
Not very long. They're available until January 6th. So a couple more days. They're on makeship.com.
Yes, it is adorable. Very kissable.
Very
plushie.
Kissable. Most kissable plushie in all of the multiverse.
All of them.
That's a fact.
Okay, I have a few more, and then we will go to viewers. If you guys have questions, guys, thanks so much for hanging out. This has been really fun. I hope you guys have had fun being here. I just have a few more, and then we'll go to you guys. Again, I'll answer any super chats first. So I did find the Gus the Bus note. Super cool, super exciting. Can you tell us anything about said Gus?
So that note exists because of someone who was spamming me in my Twitch chat during a development live stream.
Are you about to tell me this is one big troll?
Pretty much, yeah.
No! Oh my heart.
Here's the deal. Some dude on Twitch.
Gavin, no!
I don't even remember who it was.
I can't.
Kept on saying, add Gus the Bus. Put Gus the Bus in the game. When's Gus? For like a week in a row, 7 whole days. Constantly. He wanted Gus the Bus in the game. So I was like, all right, guys, fine. Because I think he probably like donated $5. So I was like, all right, fine. We'll put a Gus the Bus note in the game. So I put that in, and that satisfied him for a while at least. That's Gus the Bus. That's the story.
Okay. All right. So Gus the Bus, you heard it here, chat. Gus the Bus was just to quell the rambunctious chatter. That one guy out there.
That one dude. Whoever the heck you are, wherever the heck you are. That one person is responsible for so many people thinking that there's going to be a Gus the Bus sequel.
Look at what you've done.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well,
I hope they're happy.
Hey, I'm glad we got an answer tonight, though, even though it's one that saddens me. That's okay. That's totally fine. I'll just dream up. There'll probably be fan art, or someone will make a Gus the Bus fan art before long.
Yeah, we can get a Gus the Bus fan game or something.
Yeah. And let's see. So, what does the future of Choo-Choo Charles look like with this game? Are you done? Will there be like a few more updates, bug fixes, or we kind of even talked about it? But what is the future of Choo-Choo Charles?
So the immediate future looks like some more patches. I've got a handful of bugs that I'm working on currently, in between other random business stuff that I've been doing. So some patches, and the next kind of major thing is going to be the console launch and content update. So I want to add a couple of side missions, nothing too crazy, but I want to add some new locations, some new missions, a couple new NPCs, and obviously cool. Put it out on consoles, current and last gen Xbox and PlayStation. And I'm going to look into some other platforms as well, see what I can do, see what I can get the game running on. And that's kind of the goal for now, right? That's what I'm working towards. After that, I don't know. After that, I'm not sure. It's a bit early to say. So that's the latest.
That's so cool to hear, though. A lot of people, when they hear console release, get really excited. Because I know there's
a lot of folks that have been asking for that.
Yeah, because that's something Raph's game with World of Worlds. People are like, we want it on console, and he's just not sure about that port right now. And so you coming out confidently and saying that's super cool, super awesome for indie dev to make that happen, such as yourself.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. It'll be my first time doing a console launch, so still a little bit of stuff to learn, but it can't be impossible. Yeah, people who've done it before, it can't be too crazy.
Okay, so you're gonna take it on yourself as opposed to third partying it.
Well, I might get some other folks involved. I might hire like a porting studio. I've got a couple studios that I'm going to be talking with over the next month.
Don't do Telltale.
Not Telltale?
Yeah. Well, do you remember the whole thing with 7 Days to Die, like the Fun Pimps or whatever, and Telltale? Okay,
Not
so
really.
Sorry to make a quick aside, but Telltale,
All good.
Telltale, I believe they are the ones who ported for the Fun Pimps, who made 7 Days to Die. And then there are some just things that fell through and stuff like that, and like Telltale has like complete ownership or whatnot, so like Fun Pimps would have to like buy out completely, and it basically just froze the console version getting any more updates. So the console version is like just old compared to the PC version, which just keeps getting more and more updates. So
Gotcha.
So I just kind of made the joke,
that
like,
kind of
don't
stuff.
go with
It
them.
can get right.
I'm sure
can
it's
get
fine
messy.
if you did. I don't know the whole
Hopefully.
situation, but
I'll try and be cautious with all that kind of stuff, you know.
yeah. So just curious if you were going to tackle that entirely yourself, or get some extra help in there. But now you got to watch out, because the multiplayer chatters are going to be like, well, hey, now hold on a second. He said nothing's impossible. Just no one clip that. That doesn't go anywhere. They're going to be like, well, you're porting it to console. How come you can't make a multiplayer?
One of those things is much easier than the other. So.
Yeah. Cool. And then the future of 2-Star Games. Other games coming up? Any updates to previous games? What's going on with 2-Star?
Well, definitely more games. That's a given. I'm not stopping making games anytime soon. But it's too early, obviously, to say if that's going to be Choo-Choo Charles stuff, something else, or what that something else would be, what kind of game it would be, or anything about it. You know, I'm just all focus, all energy right now is going towards just getting the game out on consoles.
Cool. Yeah, I'm sure you're happy to just get past New Year's, get past launch, get past busy Christmas season, all that. So
100%.
Yeah. All right, guys, it's up to you. You guys have any questions in chat? Feel free to ask away. Hope you guys have been having fun tonight. Let's see. Got one from Zubaz devlog for content update? ?
I did not hear that.
Oh,
devlog for content. Oh yeah. If I do a content update, I'll do a devlog about it. I'll probably do a devlog about the content update, do a devlog about the porting process. There'll be some stuff along those lines.
Will there be a sequel? Straight up, Grub. Asking, will there be a sequel?
Don't know.
You have to wait and see. Getting a lot of questions from Steven for merchandise, and I can actually show this. I mean, I have it up. There you go. That's what it looks like. There he is. Super adorable.
The Charles plush?
Yes, the Charles
the most kissable plushie in all the multiverse.
Yeah. Do you have any other merchandise aside from this?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. I haven't sold out as much as I should. I mean, any moderately successful horror developer knows that they're supposed to like sign a 10-part book series and a movie deal and all that stuff, and I just haven't got on that yet.
Yes.
I still got to make backpacks for back to school backpacks and all that good stuff.
Absolutely.
I've been a little bit lazy on on some of that stuff. Don't worry, folks. It's coming. I'm gonna merchandise the heck out of this. I will milk it dry. No, I maybe not. Wait, the plushes. That's the only merch that I have at the moment.
Yeah. Sounds good. Oh no, we have is this someone saying, please help me prove to my parents that Makeship is legit. Gavin, what do we do?
I mean, they are legit. I don't know.
I don't know what else to say.
They work with a lot of, I mean, the biggest.
Yeah.
They work with a bunch of big game companies, a bunch of big YouTubers. I know multiple other people that have worked with them. I'm working with them.
Yeah.
I've got their actual plushies like this right here. They are real. They exist.
There you go.
They
Look.
did not just randomly produce them for
Look
the
at
fun
that.
of it.
Wait, bring that up again. I got you on the big screen now. I want to see. Oh, look at this.
Yeah.
Guys, look at this. Beautiful.
Work it, Charles. Let's go.
Just pops.
Oh,
Color.
actually, technically, this is a slightly older version, but basically the same.
Oh, a super rare. Oh my goodness, look at this.
Yeah, I've got one of a kind. It has felt ladders. On the production version, the ladders are they're printed. That's like the only difference, though. But yeah.
Yeah, like they have Corey Kenshin. Like, okay, just show your parents the YouTubers that are on here. Gavin should be enough, but that's kind of
trust me, we
unfortunate.
won't scam you. It does take a while for them to ship because of how
Yes.
they do their campaign system. They only make as many plushes as they get orders for. So because of that, the production process is a little bit longer. I think they're shipping in April, but yeah, they're cool. It's good stuff.
We do have more questions about sequel. Would a sequel, if there will be one in the future, look like same island, new missions, or what?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's way too early to even be thinking about that kind of stuff.
Yeah. It's a funny one from Truth. What's up, Truth? Do you plan on making it so that the NPCs' mouths move, or do you prefer that they speak with telekinesis somehow?
So this one, honestly, I think it's strange that people care about it as much as they do. It's not something that I was expecting at all.
I was cool with it. I thought it was like, all right, like I got past it real quick.
I mean, most indie games don't have moving mouths, you know, so it surprised me that people cared. But
I guess that just shows you how high they thought of your game. They were just like, man, look at this AAA level game, because it was just so well marketed and looks good.
I suppose maybe I did a bad job setting people's expectations. I just need to say my game sucks a little bit more often, where people's expectations aren't as high. But as far as mouths moving goes, basically, if I wanted to make the NPCs' mouths move, I would need to remake every single NPC. I would need to recreate them in different software so that I could get the face rigs all correctly done. And that would mean that every single NPC in the game would look a little bit different. And so that would be a weird adjustment. And I would also, I'd have to re-implement all of them. So it's something that I technically could do. And I don't know. I'm not sure. It's something that I've considered, that I've kind of gone back and forth on for maybe the content update. And once I actually start getting into working on that content update, I'll probably look into it a little bit more. I think the main thing it'll depend on, though, is how closely I can make these new NPCs look like the old ones, because I still want them to look like the same characters, like undoubtedly. But you also want them to look better. It's like you want them to look better, but also similar, so it doesn't feel jarring or I don't know. I'm not sure what I'll do about it.
Yeah,
we'll know more as time goes on.
Someone asked, Steven asked if there would be a Eugene plush.
Eugene plush. I think doing more plushes would be cool. I think the plushes are pretty neat. So Maybe there are a lot of people who like Eugene, just random old man plush.
Yeah.
Pretty great, but maybe some stuff like that.
Grub asked, will there be harder difficulty settings?
I think it'd be cool. I would definitely add it if I could press a button. If I could press a more difficulties button in Unreal. I can't do that though, so I don't know if there will be more difficulties.
Yeah, there's no. Oh man, Unreal doesn't have just a automatic difficulty slider.
It's pretty lame, honestly.
Something
why they haven't added that yet.
Something I thought myself that would be cool, but again, everything takes tons of time in programming. Would be that on a harder difficulty setting, maybe Charles attacks your train, like even if you're not there, like so you can't just leave it out there in the open. That'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah, definitely make things cool harder to have a like a nightmare mode, something where like it's actually like realistic light levels. Like really dark, and like the only way you can see is with like a flashlight and the light on front of your train and stuff. Like a really dark, make it more difficult. Maybe do like a hardcore type thing where if you die once, that's it. Or something.
Oh my gosh!
I think stuff like that would be pretty cool.
That's awesome. That would definitely also increase the longevity of this game because people would come back
possibly
absolutely for that challenge. I know I would 100%.
I feel like it would change the whole atmosphere of the game a lot. So
yeah,
it could be pretty neat.
It would further enforce the Slender Man vibes that you threw at me.
Maybe
I was not ready for.
No.
Also, side question. Dude, again, I love that you threw that in there. That was such a cool turn in the game. I was not expecting anything like that to be in this. I thought I'd only be dealing with Charles, but I thought a funny question would be who would you rather face IRL? Your own Slenderman guy in the woods or Barry?
The Slenderman, obviously, because he doesn't kill you.
True.
He just moves you.
He just eats you away.
He's just protecting his zone.
That's true.
He's like, hey, no trespassing. Get out of here. That's it. So
smart man. All right, Joshua asked, will you make a course for first-person horror games?
No, I won't.
Not selling out.
No,
here's my course.
Yeah, it seems like I mean, there are people who do make courses and stuff, and I got nothing against that. I'd rather be actually making video games. That's what I enjoy doing. It's fun. I like it. So that's just what I'm gonna stick with.
It's an interesting question. Would you give cultists more weapons than just a shotgun in the future?
Probably not. I don't see.
Yeah, you probably don't ever want to touch them again.
That. Yeah, no, they are a pain. Like I've kind of just barely got them balanced in this state where they're like generally working. Generally functional most of the time, and just the slightest adjustment just breaks everything for like weeks on end. It's a real pain.
So Truth asked what or who inspired the Pickle Lady, and I think I'll also follow this up with, were there any NPCs that were inspired by anyone in particular?
Well, none of the NPCs were inspired by anyone specific. The Pickle Lady was just so basically, I was in the stage of development where I was adding in all the optional missions. I'd added in the required missions, which was the first thing I did. I added in the weapon missions. That was the second thing I did, and then I was working on the optional missions. So I was like out of ideas at this point. I'd added, I don't know how many, 10, 12 of these optional missions. And I was out of ideas. I was like, what other puzzles can I do? What other interesting characters can I have? Like, I just don't know what to do. And so I don't really remember how it came to me, but I was just like, oh, hey, what if there was just a pickle mission? It was just all about pickles, and you just have to get pickles and give them to somebody who wants pickles. Just a dumb fetch quest. just for the sake of it. And so I put a poll about that on I think on Twitter and YouTube. I was like, hey, should I add a pickle mission to Choo-Choo Charles? And everybody said yes. So I had to. So that's how that happened.
You just had no choice. I mean,
I had no choice. They forced me. They forced me. There was nothing else I could do.
Very, very serious question from Holden. Would Charles like pineapple on pizza?
No. He wouldn't. He wouldn't, because it's awful. It's a whole.
Yeah, is that him answering or is that
it.
Gavin answering? I'm not sure if I can tell.
No, that's Charles' opinion. I mean, my opinion too, but also Charles' opinion.
We're gonna. I'll let you guys pick. I'll let you guys poll that. Very important topic.
No. Chat, wow. Don't let me down.
100% no right away. Guys, come on. Okay, guys.
I will leave the stream right now if this goes to yes.
Wait. I'll buy everyone end the pineapple pizza right now if this goes yes. Damn. Curse you, Gavin.
It's going in the right direction.
Influence is still much.
W chat. That's good. Y'all are on the right side of history. That's good. I'm proud of you.
All right, I'm ending this poll. Before it gets worse. 69 said no. Yeah.
Good number.
I think we kind of addressed this earlier. Claire asked for more missions in the future. Is that coming? I think we.
Yep. So, there will be a couple of new small missions. Probably nothing like crazy notable, but just a few things. Because why not?
Sniff That Bread is asking if you would do reactions to YouTubers playing your game.
Probably not. The thing is, the reactions would be really boring because I've already watched all the videos. I've watched hundreds and hundreds of videos. All the biggest YouTubers. I've definitely watched all of theirs. So it'd just be boring. It'd just be like, oh yeah, I remember this part. So I don't think I would.
Matt, I can't. I'm not asking that question. Are you mostly? Well, I guess it's not really a big deal. All right, my buddy Matt. He asked, "Is Charles a Hideo Kojima hater?" If you know who Hideo Kojima is.
Right, I am aware of him. Charles does not have an opinion on Hideo Kojima.
Okay.
He's a spider train. He knows nothing.
Yeah. Zero asked, are you mostly using Blueprints or C++ in Unity? Well, Blueprints would be Unreal, but
all Blueprint.
Yeah, so that's actually super cool and inspiring to see someone go this far with a game, with a product, and do it all in Blueprints. Unreal should be sponsoring you at this point. But how would you say like the difficulty of it is? Like you certainly still know how to code or program.
I mean, not really.
Or like have a programming mindset. Like
yeah. I mean, like the logic of it is all basically the same. But for me, especially starting out as a kid who was really dumb, it was easier to get started with like visual scripting because you can just lay it out, you can see it, it's all in front of you. I find it more organized or easier to organize. It just feels, or at the time it felt more approachable to try and learn that, and that was a big reason as to why I decided to learn Unreal Engine as opposed to any other game engine. Visual scripting, it didn't used to be as popular as it is now. But I mean, it's a great system. I like it quite a bit. And a lot of games that use Unreal Engine, a lot of games use Blueprint, especially in the indie scene. Even Fortnite. I mean, Fortnite was created to kind of demo the Blueprint system originally. And then after it got, super popular and blew up, then they transitioned it over to over to C++ for optimization's sake. But yeah, I mean, for the average indie developer, there's absolutely no downside to using Blueprint. It's like, unless you need to be really, really, really precise with your optimization and stuff, it's great.
That's honestly good to hear. Because I always was like, like you need to learn coding. Like you need to like, go from the ground up. Like, and while I'm glad like I have learned some and did learn some languages a little bit, but again, seeing like to me like you are a Blueprint success story, and I'm sure like there's many more that are out there and many more of, or more than me. But it was just also inspiring to be like, hey, like if me personally ever did want to pick up that itch again to like make a game, maybe just jump into Blueprints and just start doing the visual scripting and not be like, oh, you have to code, you have to know the syntax and everything. And
it's a lot of people will say that there's like, even throughout the development of Choo-Choo Charles, there were a lot of times where people would say, like, I was trying to figure out how to do a specific thing. People would say, oh no, you can't do that unless you're using C++. And then there's always some workaround. There's always like, oh wait, no, actually you can do that. You just got to check this box over here or whatever. You can do, if you're a solo indie developer, it'd be difficult to get to the level of complexity where you would really need, C++ type stuff. So, yeah.
Adita asked if which country has brought the most Choo-Choo Charles game, and I guess another question would be like, are there interests in Choo-Choo Charles that have come from other countries or anything like that you've seen?
Yeah, so majority of sales, I believe, like it's over 50%. It might be as high as 57, or maybe it's like 52. It's like 52 or 57% of sales come from the US. And the rest of it is coming from other random places. They're in like I can't think of any of the countries off the top of my head, but there's been a lot of like foreign YouTubers and stuff that have covered it, which has been awesome to see. I was expecting more sales from outside the US, but ultimately it's doing fine. It's doing decent numbers all wherever it is available.
Yeah. You can disclose what you want, but Claire asked, did you make enough money off Choo-Choo Charles to be satisfied?
I would say so. Yes. Yeah. It's done plenty well. It'll keep me going for a while, enough to work on my future games, without worrying about, funding or getting a publisher or investors or anything like that. So yeah, it's done everything that I could have wanted it to do.
And I'll do this last question from Matt. For a serious question, what was the moment that you, Gavin, knew you wanted to be a game developer, or what made you want to be one? What started it all?
So what started it all? So I started making games when I was 12. Before I was 12, I don't know, 10, 11. It's like I played video games, My family, we had a Nintendo DS, and I'd play Super Mario on that, and it was awesome. I loved it, right? And I thought it would be, like me and the neighbor kid, me and my friends, we'd imagine up these different like game ideas and stuff that we thought would be cool, or like Minecraft mods, or like, oh, what if you could do this in Minecraft or that in Minecraft? But we didn't know how to actually do that. We thought that it was just like some difficult thing that you had to be like smart to do. Lucky for me though, any idiot can make a game. And when I was 12, another friend showed me that he was making games in Blender, and it was this free software that you could make games in. And I was like, what? That's possible?
I never heard that.
I had no idea. And so I downloaded the software the next day, and I was hooked from that moment. As soon as I knew, like, oh, I actually can make games. Like, it's not something that you need to like be an adult to do, or go to college and like be intelligent to do. Like you could just do it. You could just do it. You just download software, and I didn't know that. As soon as I did learn that you could, that's what started it.
That's awesome. It's awesome, man. It's cool to see your journey, where you've been, where you've come from. My final question to you, I usually do this with all indie devs I have on here, and it is, what would be your one piece of advice to other indie devs that might be listening or about to start?
Listening or about to start. It's not about luck. Luck is it's a factor, but if you believe that luck is what's going to make you successful, you're not going to look at things in a scientific, investigative manner. And that's the only way that you can find any kind of strategy. You need a strategy. You need a path to follow. And, it's very foolish to ignore that and say, oh, it's just luck. I'll just do whatever I want and maybe I'll get lucky. Because then at that point, you really are, putting your success up to luck. Go into it with a strategy, look for patterns, and try and figure out what successful games did that you are not doing. And that's about it.
That's pretty good. That's a good one. I think that can be applicable to multiple fields. So,
probably.
Gavin, I really, really appreciate you having on. Is there anything you want to plug? Anything you want to say at the end, or other than buy up that
Choo-Choo
plushie?
Charles plushies are very kissable, but they're only available for a little bit. So that plug will only be applicable for about 4 days. No, I mean, you follow me on Twitter, 2star. Follow me on YouTube, 2star. Yeah, that's about it.
Cool. Well, there you have...
subscribe to this guy. Subscribe to this guy. He's cool.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for coming on, guys. This has been super cool. Yeah, go buy out the plushie. It's only available for a few more days. Go check out Gavin's channel. Go support him. He's an awesome indie dev. We're gonna definitely have more on this channel, so feel free to hang out and stick with me, guys. You're awesome. Thank you all for being here. If you have not seen my playthrough of it, feel free to watch that and have fun. I had a blast with this game. This is super fun game for real. And you guys should check that out and also probably play it for yourselves, because I think it's worth it. So Gavin, that's it. That's all. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
And
it was a pleasure.
Yeah. So that's it. To everyone else, thank you for being here. This was super fun. I will see you guys. Peace.